Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to the Q Lounge Live. Hi, I'm your host, Shady Groove, and this is the Truth for Freedom channel. It is almost 7:40 on the West Coast. Wow, what a rally, guys. It is a little bit later than normal out here, and the stream may be lagging, but I had to come on and talk to you this week. What an amazing week it has been. My fellow Americans, I am here to announce that you have not even come close to being tired of winning, everybody out there. This is unbelievable. If you're new to Q, if you're new to the channel, thanks for coming over. In the Matrix isn't joining me out here tonight, but I hope that I'll see him somewhere poking around out with you guys. This is a unbelievable group of people here, whether it's the moderators or it's the Patriots, but we are all on the same page, and we are really bringing the news to the people. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the people out there waking up, man. I mean, I'm really talking about waking up like I didn't know it was possible. I don't think a lot of you were very skeptical that it was possible, but it is happening. We are here, we are on this wall, and we are winning every day. Your president just did an unbelievable rally, and I'm not sure how many of you out there caught that rally just now, but wow, wow, wow at the spirit and enthusiasm that he has, and he is not stopping. And I'm telling you right now, this guy is not going to stop. He is fighting every day, tooth and nail for you, for Anons, for Patriots, and the whole world to speak up and to speak out against this corruption, and to speak out against the deep state, and to speak out against all things that are inherently evil. And that is really, I think, more than anything, what a lot of this is about. It's all about chasing this evil out of our society, and they've been hiding among us in ways that most people are completely unaware of, and we are pointing to them, pointing to the ones that they put up in public to say, oh, this is going to be, you're going to go out there, you're going to represent us, and you're going to say all of these crazy things, Miss Pelosi and Mr. Schiff, and you're going to treat the Constitution like it's a piece of garbage. And Miss Clinton, you're going to come out and you're going to say that it should be committed to a 20th century paper shredder. And I'm here to tell you that that document would screw that paper shredder up, and it wouldn't even function anymore because it won't even get close to it. Because it is you. It is the heart and the soul of America. This is who we are. This is what we came here to this fight to do. This is who we are standing up for, and that is each other, everyone. Each other on this wall together has made a difference. And I know, and trust me, I know there's a lot of people out there who are getting weary, and you're getting maybe a little bit like, oh, what exactly is this plan? We don't know exactly what this plan is, and we don't care exactly what this plan is. I am with this president. He still speaks for me. Every day he goes out there and he speaks for me. Whatever the plan is, however it had to be adjusted, and however it's moving, and whoever we're protecting, be for it. For it. We're not against anything. We're not sad that it's not moving fast enough. We're not upset that it's not enough for us. We're not anything. Except we're happy for every day that you wake up with this man at the helm of your country. Because I'm telling you, the day's coming, it won't be that long away from now where he won't be. And then we're going to have to all be very, very diligent on the next people that come in to this conversation and to take the reins of this country. I listened to this man at the rally, and wow, what he said about China, what he said about us protecting 94 countries, what he said about Russia to say, oh, how many countries are you protecting? We're protecting one. How many countries are my fellow Americans who joined me this evening protecting? Well, I'm here to tell you, it's a lot more than one. And I understand why we're doing it, and I recognize what the lead up was for all of it. But we also now know the truth. And the truth is, World War II was a deep state sham. World War I was a deep state sham. America doesn't have to be out there managing everybody's political, quote unquote, political affairs. These are not wartime affairs. These are political affairs connected to despots and tyrants that have been allowed taking the seat of power as so long as they decided to not go against the powers that be, which is the worldwide globalist monarchy, whatever you want to call it. America is special because we are outside of a monarchy. America is different because kings and queens do not exist here and have not our respect here. And I'd like for you to notice how many of these deep state news organizations consistently present royalty to you as though it be something you should admire. My brothers and sisters that come to me here on this show, we do not admire that. And I do not admire Donald Trump because he is a king. I admire him because he speaks words that interpret in my ear to make me believe that he has your best interest at heart, which is America. And again, America, the experiment. Not America, the land, the idea, the experiment. 240 years without a war over an election. How close to the brink are they pushing it? How close to the brink are they currently pushing war over an election? They seemingly are willing to take it all the way. Are they stopping? Are you seeing them stop? I'm not seeing them stop. And having a little conversation just yesterday, I don't know if they're going to stop. And I don't care if they don't stop. Because every time they open their mouth, something truthful gets revealed. And every time something truthful gets revealed, you win. how insignificant or great is not the matter. You win. My Patriots, my friends, my family in this movement are winning, regardless of what anyone else says, regardless of people who say, oh, how long has it been? Oh, you're still talking about that. You dadgone right, I'm still talking about that. We've got some amazing stuff that has happened with this movement. It boils down to us being closer together again, but it is more than that. It is more than that. It boils down to us finding our voice again. And again, it is more than that. I wanted to jump over here real fast and first to celebrate. Dun, dun, dun. 2 years of Q and U. 2 years it has been, my fellow Patriots. And real big shout out of love here for Tammy Perry, who is bringing, this was an awesome video. We played on the Matrix Groove Hour the other day.
Hi Patriots, it's Dr. Tammy. I just want to send a very special message today, because today is Q's birthday. So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you.
I do too. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to our amazing president.
Thank you.
And I want to say thank you to Q.
Thank you.
None of us knows who Q is, but all of us knows what Q is for, which is to bring truth, which is to shed light upon darkness. And many of us believe that Q Plus is our amazing president. We've each had a different journey to find our way to Q. Some of us are fortunate enough to have discovered Q early on, myself included. And many of us, as a consequence, have taken slings and arrows. Because when people don't have the information, they feel scared. And then when they see the labels, they aren't quite certain how to handle that. But when you know you stand in truth, when you know what you have is the truth, it is easy to stand with the armor of God, with a sword, and allow those slings and arrows to hit you, because all that happens is they fall to the ground at your feet for you to step on. And after all this time, many of us have learned so many things. And we may never know who Q is. And that's okay, because we are now Q. We've learned the comms, and we have discovered God and truth, and we know that God didn't make promises except to hand us a sword, and He expected us to use it in His fight to be more like Him and to fight for truth. God bless you, Patriots. God bless you.
What a video. Thank you. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to Q. Thank you for information that took a mind that understood that everything was out of sorts. And then no matter which way I turned, it all seemed like the disaster, saboteur, decision-making was becoming the norm. The destruction was becoming the norm. The news was nothing but destruction. The propaganda was nothing but destruction. There's nothing outside of that thought form being presented to you. And now there is something different being presented to you. And for anyone who does not understand or isn't a fan of Q, that's fine. For anyone who does understand or isn't a fan of the president, that is fine. We have to recognize that we are privy to things that no one else understands. And we cannot find ourselves taking that for granted or taking advantage of others as a result of you having information that they do not. Quite the opposite. We're going to share it with them with a loving honor and stewardship that precedes most other elected officials that any of us have ever witnessed. So integrity needs to be brought back to our political system. A politician can't just be a politician any longer. A person in elected government needs to be a person, not a politician. A politician, now we've determined, means someone who is literally on the take. People. They get elected into office. And then there are term limits. And then there is transparency. And then therefore there's no swamp creatures interested in service. Because isn't it really funny how many swamp creatures are interested in serving your country? Does that seem confusing to you? Because most swamp creatures are self-serving, I'll just stop there, greedy people on more levels than just financial. But they're really interested in service. All these people, Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Nadler, Ms. Waters, Wasserman Schultz, all of the Mr. Johnson. Interested in public service, are you? Well, Q has taught us that public service is not something that should be for enriching yourself. It is something that is to be of service to others. So let's scour the landscape going into 2020, and let's help this president elect quality candidates, as many as we can get in there in 2020. And raise your voice. Go volunteer. Maybe knock on a door or two. It's not going to hurt you. You don't have to red pill people campaigning. You just be honest. I appreciate what this man is doing for me. This is how he stuck up for me. This is where I found that he spoke up for me. And this is where I speak up for others whom I think don't understand. Ha. What a world we could create, huh? What a place we could be. 11:01:17, 11:01:18, 11:01:19. Here we are. So much has happened between those two dates, 17 and 19. Do any of you any longer believe in coincidences? Do you now know this was a real fight for the soul of America? You stood up. You are Q, i.e., those who know. And here's some of the stuff you know. What do you know? You know, going back to Q Post 34. Q, clearance, Patriot, my fellow Americans, over the course of the next several days, you will undoubtedly realize that we are taking back our great country, the land of the free, from the evil tyrants that wish to do us harm and destroy the last remaining refuge of shining light. On the President's order, we have initiated certain fail-safes that shall safeguard the public from the primary fallout, which is slated for 11/3. Upon arrest announcement of Mr. Podesta, actionable 11/4, confirmation to the public of what is occurring will there be revealed and will be openly accepted. Public riots are being organized in serious numbers in an effort to prevent the arrest and capture of more senior public officials. On the President's order, a state of temporary military control will be actioned and special ops carried out. False leaks have been made to retain several within the confines of the United States and prevent extradition and special operators' necessity. Rest assured, the safety and well-being of every man, woman, and child of this country is being exhausted in full. However, the atmosphere within the country will unfortunately be divided as so many have fallen for the corrupt and evil narrative that has long been broadcast. We will be initiating the emergency broadcast system during this time in an effort to provide a direct message, avoiding the fake news at all costs to all citizens. Organizations and or people that wish to do us harm during this time will be met with swift fury. Certain laws have been lifted to provide our great military the necessary authority to handle and conduct these operations. Now, 11/1/17. Go back to that day. Take a second. Go back to that day when you read that post for the folks who've been here since then. You remember what you felt when you read that? I do. I was very skeptical because this was obviously only 3 days after Q started to post, but reading it now, it is like, wow. This operation was so intense. They had to hit the ground running so fast. It seems like maybe that they even stalled off starting this until the point of which they knew that they were going to go forward with this whole staged plan of impeachment. Military intelligence. No media, no leaks. How many military generals have been in and out of the White House in the past 30 days? Focus on Flynn. Background and potential role. What is the common denomination in terms of military backgrounds close to the president? Why did Soros transfer the bulk of his public funds to the NPO? Why is this relevant? Who owes a lot to very bad actors? How can she repay as payment was made under promise of victory? What cash payment occurred by BO during the past 90 days of his presidency to foreign states and organizations? What slush funds did AG Sessions through DOJ put an end to? How does Soros, Obama, and Clinton, Holder, Lynch, etc. all net many millions of dollars normally within a single year? What was negotiated to the tarmac between Bill Clinton and Lynch? Remember, it was expected HRC was going to win during this time period. What if the Wizards and Warlocks tipped off a local reporter at the supposed unscheduled stop? What if the NSA, under the personal direction from Admiral R, had this meeting miscategorized and logged under a false identity to prevent bad actors from locating while also verifying these said players, and all was clear with no logs? What really happened when the Wizards and Warlocks revealed what they had? Was Comey forced into the spotlight shortly thereafter, not by choice, right before the election, to no doubt which would cast suspicion? These are crumbs, and you cannot imagine the full and complete picture. If Trump failed, if we failed, and HRC assumed control, as we Patriots were prepared to do the unthinkable. This was leaked internally and kept the delegate recount scam and BO from declaring fraud. Dig deeper, missing critical points to paint the full picture. There is simply no other way than to use the military. It's that corrupt and dirty. Please be safe and pray for those in harm's way as they continually protect and serve our great country. POTUS will be well insulated and protected on Air Force One and abroad. Specific locations classified while these operations are conducted. Due to the nature of the entrenchment, it is time to take back our country and make America great again. Let us salute and pray for the brave men and women in uniform who will undertake the assignment to bring forth peace, unity, and return power to the people. It is our hope that this message reaches enough people to make a meaningful impact. We cannot yet telegraph this message through normal methods for reasons I'm sure everyone here can understand. Follow the questions from the previous threads and remain calm. The primary targets are within DC and remain at the top on both sides. The spillover in the streets will be quickly shut down. Look for more false flags. Stay alert. Be vigilant. And above all, please pray. For God so loved the world, he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Love is patient. Love is kind. God bless my fellow Americans. 4/10/20. 11/1/17. Your president spoke to you through keyboard for the first time. 1 year later, your president spoke to you again at a rally. Beautiful evening at the MAGA rally with great American patriots, loyal citizens like you help build this country, and together we are taking back this country, returning power to you, the American people. Get out and vote, GOP. And here we have the Delta, 1 year Delta from QPost 35. Wowee. And the mainstream media continues to peddle coincidences. And anons on this great wall already know. With this information, there's really no conflict. We are not in conflict with people that disagree with the president. We're not in conflict with people that disagree whether or not Q is real. Why? Much like what Tammy spoke of. Because the truth is not in conflict with reality. Just like anti-war mental thoughts are not in conflict with your everyday existence. You don't plan war. We don't think about war. When was the last time you woke up sitting at the breakfast table and making or having your cereal and you decided you wanted to gather some troops and start a war? Do you think people in foreign countries who have nothing are intent on gathering weapons and starting war? Or is that a game? Is that the narrative that war must exist? Returning power to the people literally means we end war. Because the Congress of the United States is where war is supposed to be declared. So if we put people with some sense in Congress, then none of those sensible people are going to declare war. But no. Nope. All week. Mainstream media, propaganda tool, the Democratic Party, the POTUS economy, not good enough, impeach. President job creation records, not good enough, impeach. President's GDP, not good enough, impeach. President's fair trade, protect America, not good enough, impeach. This is 6/21/18, by the way. President's tax reform, more take-home money for you, not good enough, impeach. President saved the world from North Korea, not good enough, impeach. President's stock market gains, not good enough, impeach. President's undo harmful regulations, not good enough, impeach. President boost U.S. energy dominance, not good enough, impeach. President protect U.S. homeland, not good enough, impeach. President combating opioids, not good enough, impeach. President accountability, adult really we need. The Pentagon's SC reorganized executive branch, not good enough, impeach. POTUS protecting life, not good enough, impeach. President helping veterans, not good enough, impeach. President peace through strength, not good enough, impeach. President restore confidence and respect for the U.S., not good enough, impeach. All while under constant attack. Do you not believe the truth is spreading? Do you not believe they are losing their slave grip hold? Do you believe we are winning? Silent majority no more. Fight, fight, fight. Where we go one, we go all. What a wonderful day. You're bringing the fight to people. And whenever I say you're bringing the fight to the people, you're not bringing war. You're not bringing war with your neighborhood Democrats, okay? You don't want war with them. You don't want war with anybody. You know why? Because it doesn't get anything done. We learned that. I knew that when I was younger. War gets nothing done. And then, there was one big day that happened. And then, man, the socialists in our society and embedded in the universities across America went ballistic. 9/11. And after 9/11, the forms and thoughts of socialism started to gain steam because they scared the bejeebas out of people. What is Q saying to you? What does Q have to say to all of us? It's so true.
Q 2788 February 18th 2019 13:57:32 Eastern Standard Time. How can an entity known only as Q, faceless, nameless, fameless, etc., began to ask questions on 4chan, now 8chan, and build something of this magnitude? How can this same Q entity garner such a massive amount of worldwide mainstream media, fake news attention, and attacks? How is it possible this Q entity can forecast future events or know when the president is about to tweet? How is it possible future proves past regarding information provided? How is it possible this Q entity, an entity who began by merely asking questions on 4chan and 8chan, was able to fill in the blank? Think logically. People are craving truth. People are craving transparency. People are craving equal justice under the law. People are craving good. People are craving right. People are craving true freedom. People are craving safety and security. People are craving fill in the blank. Proofs negate falsehood conspiracy attacks. Those who attack have an agenda or remain plugged into the biggest disinformation campaign to be ever witnessed. Ask yourself, why are liberals always angry? Why do they curse? Why do they slander, push fake labels, racist, sexist, etc.? Why do they create emotional outbursts when challenged? Why are they violent? Why do they form mobs and packs? Why are they incapable of listening to the other side? Fascist. When you don't have facts to support your arguments, present logical reasoning, you must resort to the above tactic. The narrative is designed to keep people in a constant state of fear, thereby forcing anger, rage, violence. Emotionally unstable people are easier to control. They want you divided by race, divided by class, divided by religion, divided by political affiliation, divided as human beings. Divided, you are weak. Together, you are strong. When you are strong, you think for yourself. When you are strong, you challenge what you are told to believe. When you are strong, you are awake. When you are strong, you are no longer controlled. Trust yourself. Trust that you are not alone. Trust that there are good people right beside you, fighting for what we know to be right. God bless you all. Where we go one, we go all. Q.
2788. Very powerful, right? I mean, powerful. There's not just words on paper. They're not. Q is not words on paper. I know that the people out there in the mainstream media have been so busy moving paper around for the last 50 or 60 years, trying to cover up everything and making sure they look spiffy clean in front of the cameras whenever they go to lie to you. But they think this is words on paper. When I just read to you from Q2788, to them, it's words on paper. What the president said to you last night, it's words on a teleprompter. Or tonight, it's words on a teleprompter to them. Means nothing. Means absolutely nothing to them. So then why does it mean something to you? How can there be that big of a gap? That something like that can mean so much to you, but to the whole propagandized public looks like nothing. The memes that we make to them look like nothing. They can't understand them. They can't understand because it's not presented by a picture or a paragraph or words that have been told to them a million times. Anything that goes outside of those words that doesn't have something to do with referencing zombies in movies, it's lost. And this is about finding. Q is about finding. Q is hide and seek. They've been hiding, and now you're seeking. And they didn't hide stuff so good. I wanted to go through this article real quick. No, this was a really good article Carly tweeted out the other day. 25 questions for the rational QAnon skeptic when two narratives go to war. I think I want to read through this just to give a little bit of perspective here. This is news because we're talking about it. If you're going to tell a heinous lie, make sure it's really humongous. Accuse the other side of all that you are guilty, and ensure facts do not get in the way of your truth. These psychological warfare tactics, be they in the manner of Goebbels, Zelensky, or Orwell, make finding the truth a confusing and costly matter for the public. Many give up, forced by the urgency to slave away in the system that told and sold them the lie in the first place. The United States, and by proxy all societies aspiring to liberty, is presently driven by a social and political divide represented by two violently opposing narratives. We can characterize these somewhat cartoonishly as fake news versus orange man bad. I believe that the resolution of this difference is the core issue in understanding the whole landscape of modern multimedia communications. The fake news hypothesis runs thus: the mass media is controlled, coordinated, and corrupt. What with it being run by a crooked power elite, it is a mafia media being used to cover for organized criminality by a long-standing gangster government. Media MSM uses gaslighting, propaganda, and mind control techniques to socially engineer public opinion. The QAnon phenomenon is helping to prepare and guide a brainwashed population towards a difficult reality. The orange man bad hypothesis is the converse. Mainstream media is legitimate journalism and is broadly telling you the truth. This is reasonably trustworthy. They are doing their job of holding an often corrupt power elite to account. The President of the United States is a traitor and a crook. As a consequence of this, the QAnon phenomenon is a conspiracy theory and deserves no credence, legitimacy, or attention. I accept that this is a false dichotomy. All parties could be evil, or Q could be the world's smartest controlled opposition, or some other possibility. I acknowledge that whilst two positions are mutually exclusive, they are not collectively exhaustive. For the sake of argument, since we face a polarity of opinion, let's assume for now that it is a binary choice. Fair enough? A primer on the semantics of Q. How can we decide between these diametrically opposed views, silos of belief which appear logical and factual on their vociferous adherents? The QAnon process appears to be constructed To resolve this dilemma by using simple reasoning, a kind of Occam's laser cutter, this simplifies a widely complex set of data part in the information war battlefield into a single rational choice. In order to reason about Q and the dilemma, it helps to have a baseline understanding of what Q is. To borrow and pervert some terminology from computer science, Q has both explicit and covert diatonal semantics of what being overt textual and image Q drops, together with various other hidden encodings of information, i.e. timing, drops, gematria, both explicit and opaque operational semantics, the how. We operationally experience the drops happening in these exotic social media websites, which are game reserves for real free speech, but everything behind these drops is invisible to us, hidden by a veil of secrecy. Unknown but inferable intentional semantics, the why. The stated aim is to make America great again via the Great Awakening. This could be a trick or a trap, and we can only decide by history unfolding in front of us. Note that Q claims no direct authority. The repeated exorcist is to trust yourself only, do your own research. Q explicitly acknowledges that disinformation is mixed into the drops. This is in direct opposition to the way the mainstream media works, which asserts that they are credible as a result of their accumulated brand value and trust, meaning a little bit what I was saying a second ago. They don't get dirty. It's got to be clean, or they don't get it. A QAnon is an anon, typically anonymous social media user who observes the drops by Q and 4chan, 8chan, 8kun, as performs their own research to vet and validate the data being offered. Q itself is not something that is true or false. The drops clearly exist, so it is a matter of how we interpret the trove of data offered. The link between Q and the president is evidenced by what have colloquially been named as proofs, such as Q posting less than a minute before the president tweets. There are around 500 such proofs, which individually are merely evidence, but collectively form a strong basis of fact. Very fair predicate on how you should approach something known as Q. If someone tells you, like a media person, that Q does not exist, I would reference to what it is we've been digging on for 2 years. Okay? Now, you can say Q is inaccurate, and you can say Q isn't connected to the government, and you can say Q is in his basement, and you can say Q has nothing to do with the president. All arguments that can easily be at least absorbed and batted around the ping pong table for contemplation. But you can't say it doesn't exist, which is what they're trying to say. So we run down this list real quick. Do you agree that the mainstream media synchronized messages and similar wording when reporting on QAnon? Does that appear to support or refute the fake news hypothesis? Yes. Do you agree there appears to be little to no diversity of editorial approaches and opinions on Q or the president, and how do you make sense of this near unanimity across the mainstream media? Mainstream media has not reported on the specific content of the Q drops, only referring to them indirectly. How do you account for this journalistic choice? The mainstream media has not encouraged the public to examine the associated open source intelligence by QAnons or the Daily Notables. What does this say about their attitude to independent thought? Mainstream media won't discuss the validity of the evidence of a Q-Trump link, i.e. operational semantics, that are a question of proof that would stand up in court. Why do you think this is not covered in detail? Mainstream media doesn't mention how Q tells you to reject any authority and to always research and think for yourself. How do you make sense of this in the context of a mass media's authority and trustworthiness? Mainstream media has failed to analyze ways in which Q drops have foreshadowed major events. Why do you think this might be? Mainstream media rarely discusses psychological warfare, the art of deception, and the use of disinformation, and if it does, typically ends with a piece designating Q and POTUS, which hypothesis does this appear to be or to support. Mainstream media offers only a binary Q. It is all true versus Q is a LARP, i.e. hoax, rather than focusing on the content of the drops and how this relates to each of the two hypotheses. Mainstream media won't ask the Q question of the president so that any association can be confirmed or refuted. Does this alone act as proof of the fake news hypothesis or not? The mainstream media won't even discuss the existence of the contentious Q question. What is your theory for this rather glaring omission, and whether they are presenting both sides of the issue fairly or faithfully? Mainstream media hasn't explored the extensive data supporting Q's assertions of criminality or Clinton Foundation, even though there's ongoing DOJ probes, Huber, Durham, Horowitz. Why do you think this is? The mainstream media has hardly ever mentioned 4chan, 8chan, or 8kun before Q, and what might be the significance of Q in making these sudden focus of attention. Those who reject the fake news hypothesis in favor of Orange Man bad typically reference mainstream media sources as evidence. Do you agree or disagree? Whether this is a form of circular argument. Many dismiss the types of questions here on the basis that Q is a ridiculous conspiracy theory untrustworthy of discussion. Do you accept or reject this as another form of circular reasoning, appealing to your hypothesis, or as an axiom? The president has not disassociated himself from Q. What political impact would the exposure of Q have on his political capital? And how do you account for this action in the Orange Man bad scenario? There's been little to no speculation on who Q is by the mainstream media. Why might this be, given the significant following of Q? If Q has accumulated a large following of citizens who are being led astray, this could be a foreign power waging psychological warfare against Americans. Why do you imagine there's no mainstream media analysis of how the greatest intelligence apparatus in the world cannot identify Q? Especially if it's an individual in a basement. Mainstream media doesn't give any prominence to the many well-known Q researchers in their articles. Why might this be? If Q is disproven, why is there no analysis in the mainstream media of the propaganda techniques being used and how Q exploits them? If Q is part of a cult of Trump, why does the mainstream media not offer kindness and compassion to the cultists and present a viable path to show them the way out of their delusion? What does this say about the mainstream media's values? If Q is a LARP, does this suggest that Q has been given false authority by believers? What does it say about our belief in authority in general versus reasoning for ourselves? Could the same false authority be applied to the mainstream media? Those who come out as seeing truth in the fake news hypothesis are often ostracized or bullied into silence. What does this say about those who believe Orange Man bad in the mainstream media that forms their media landscape? When reading through this list of questions, did it raise issues or concerns that you hadn't considered before? If so, why do you still believe the mainstream media? Aren't they fake news if they are withholding key questions and only presenting one side of the story and telling you what to think? I hope you enjoyed answering these questions and thinking for yourself. Even if no, make that especially if you believe Orange Man bad, you are entitled to come to your own conclusion without coercion or bullying by me or anyone else. Personally, I believe the rational choice out of the two. Competing hypothesis is outstandingly obvious. Mainstream media is fake news. This makes every question trivially easy to answer using simple logic, whereas Orange Man bad demands absurd contortions and torture of the facts to make the theory fit. Where we go one, we go all. Great article. Great article. And a well-deserved point for America. What do you think? And what is really going on? And why would the mainstream news bend over backwards to completely ignore something that is so obviously relevant? Simply because it talks about conspiracy? Q started off, the very beginning was talking about what really happened in Las Vegas. So many other conspiracies that Q has touched on. So it's because Q discusses conspiracy-minded reality, it's to be ignored and forgotten. True? True. Listen, guys. Jumping off a ledge here, maybe. But round and round, I keep going back to the time before 9/11. Round and round and round, especially over the last few weeks. Very interesting. I'm not sure exactly what it is. and why it's relevant. But it's something I felt compelled to talk about. Something is reconnecting us back to where we became disconnected, which would be circa i.e. the Clinton administration, where we were completely eliminated from the conversation without a shred of predictive landscape that this was happening to us, whether it be the music or Hollywood or newspapers or print, but everything went into overdrive. War all went into overdrive under Bill Clinton. And now we all see, looking back, of what they took over, how they controlled all the systems, what happened on 9/11, leading into the contorted mindset where they made you decide that you weren't allowed to have negative judgments of people who were trying to harm you for fear that you were going to misjudge those who were not. And then moving into a time where we start making laws of hate speech. Okay? Listen, there's no such thing as hate speech. I don't care what you say. I don't care what anybody says. You're never going to argue. There's no words. There's no such thing as a hate crime. It's conflated garbledygook. It's bullshit. It's not the way our society is engineered. We all have equal rights. We are all equal under the law. We are fighting to develop a nation that is in vision of that. So to say that your speech or that speech or this speech is hate speech is stopping someone's freedom of speech. You're not allowed to hurt anyone. And anyone that you harm has remedy against you. But you are allowed to say whatever you want to say. We used to understand that. Didn't really matter. It doesn't matter how mean. It used to be tough. Whenever we talk about snowflakes and SJWs, we're talking about a mentality, not people. The mentality is not tough. Your president's tough. And that fateful day in September made a lot of tough people not tough, for lack of a better way to talk about it. Made a lot of us not tough. Wasn't good, but it happened. Donald Trump is trying to make you tough again. And he's trying to talk to you some sense, some rational sense. Q is trying to talk rational sense into us, and we're trying to reconnect. Like I said, I keep reconnecting to that time before 9/11, a time where a perceived war was unthinkable. The idea that we could be attacked was absurd. And the idea that we were attacked by some sort of foreign entity is absurd. It's completely absurd. It didn't happen. It did not happen. What you witnessed that day was your government attempting to do exactly what you are looking at today. A deep state coup? Where does that come from? It comes from your intelligence agencies. Where it always comes from. That's why we had separations of the FBI, the CIA, the DNI, all separated. No one could talk to each other for a reason. Because we knew that if they could talk to each other, they would coordinate, and then someone would stand up and get them all in line, and the next thing you know, anyone who stood against them would be thrown out. And now you have a bureaucracy that, literally, you can't make it up. The stuff that they're out there saying, like, look at this. Okay, for instance, you cannot make this up. This happened yesterday. Woo-wee. Not kidding.
trying to get his team elected. Now, that's wrong. Unfortunately, it's not unusual. Just yesterday, former Deputy CIA head John McLaughlin encouraged permanent bureaucrats here in Washington to continue to subvert elected officials, the ones they work for.
Thank God for the deep state.
What?
Thank God for the deep state.
What?
They work for.
Thank God for the deep state.
Getting uncomfortable there, John?
You know, everyone here has seen this progression of diplomats and intelligence officers and White House people trooping up to Capitol Hill right now and saying, these are people who are doing their duty, who are responding to a higher call.
Is there anything that could...
A higher call? A higher call? Have we ever organized anything in society of a higher calling than a group of citizens coming together to collectively decide on a person they would like to see lead them? Can you show me a higher call than that? Because outside of that, what you have is monarchy, totalitarianism. Point at something else? Can you point at something else? The presentation that these people are making is staggeringly egotistical. To be kind, egotistical. Thank God for the deep state. On TV. Wow. This is from the same people that tell you there's no such thing, everyone. John Brennan will tell you there's no such thing as a deep state. But he'll sit there and laugh with cheesy poo. I'm not laughing. Tucker wasn't laughing. Here's an article I'd like for the, thread from Draw and Strike that I'd like for the mods to drop to you guys to maybe get back in here to look at. This is an amazing thread talking about Weissman and what Weissman was doing on the Mueller team, talking about this whole Listen, everyone, what happened with Flynn, all of this stuff is, today they denied the Brady information, acting as if he does not allow to that information. Sidney Powell is coming back and saying, oh, okay, and now the judge has discontinued a hearing for the 7th, meaning possibly that there's no reason for a hearing any longer because it's obvious he's not guilty. And it's obvious that he made a plea so that they would stop attacking his son. Very great article from Draw and Strike here, or thread. And I was going to go through and read it, but I'm probably going to be a little bit behind here. And there's another one from Technofrog about the filing in the Flynn case. And this was actually, oh, wait a minute. I thought this was from today. This is actually from a week ago. They put another one out today. This is what I meant to have here for you. I think the mods out there. But keep up with this stuff about General Flynn. I think that a lot of what we're waiting on is this case to finish. This case has got to finish before, anons go jumping around and screaming and yelling and, oh, no, nothing's happening. Can we make sure that this gentleman who sacrificed himself, bludgeoned himself with the knife of justice, Mueller, is safe? Let's make sure he's safe. Please? General Flynn, I would like to make sure he is safe. Then we'll bring out the D-class. Then we'll bring out the Horowitz. Then we'll bring out the Huber. But I would really like for, him to be released from obligations before it gets really messy. My opinion is maybe that's what is happening. I don't know. If I were a planning person, that might be how I would plan it. Mittens in the deep state. Pickles! Mittens, the deep state, and the ongoing coup against POTUS. Recently, one of my email pals sent me an incredible opinion piece from Hal Wolf, the Center for Justice in Warsaw, Poland. Very, very interesting thread here I want to share with you. Not going to read it. We're going to share it. You guys can read it. There's so much going on, everyone. There's so much going on. Tweet of the week. Oh, okay. This real quick. So, I love this tweet. I'm going to read this tweet. But yesterday, I was watching Donald Trump Jr., and he was on with, what's that fella's name? Norton. Jim, is it Jim? Jim Norton, and the other guy, Sam. Oh, I can't think of the name of the show. I apologize. They're on Sirius, and they had Donald Trump Jr. on there, and they were asking the question. They asked him about the aliens. And he wouldn't admit that he had ever asked his dad about the aliens. And that was hilarious. Because I actually believe that he probably hasn't. Like, he's almost like, I didn't know how to approach him. It's kind of funny. But then they asked him a really good question, which was, have you ever approached your father about his Twitter? Or, what do you think about his Twitter? Or ever saying anything to him about tweeting? Or maybe not tweeting so much. And he goes, no. He said, but the funny thing is, he's like, there has been a couple times that I'm getting all amped up on there. And he's called me. And he said, hey, take it easy over there. Slow down a little bit. So it's actually the president is asking Donald Trump Jr. like, whoa, buddy, I don't know what you're doing, but take it easy. And he said, I found out during that I had more in common with my dad than I thought. Thought that was a very, very interesting moment. But just yesterday, again, who's pointing to the Fed? Hashtag end the Fed. People are very disappointed in Jay Powell in the Federal Reserve when he says people. They mean you? The Fed has called it wrong from the beginning. Too fast, too slow. They even tightened in the beginning. Others are running circles around them and laughing all the way to the bank. Dollar and rates are hurting our manufacturers. We should have lower interest rates than Germany, Japan, and all others. We are now by far the biggest and strongest country, but the Fed puts us at a competitive disadvantage. China is not our problem. The Federal Reserve is. We will win anyway. Read that again. China is not our problem. The Federal Reserve is. Wow. So your president yesterday sent you the message that the Federal Reserve is a bigger enemy to the people. Remember at the very beginning, people are very disappointed. The Federal Reserve is more of an enemy to you, the people, than China. Well, isn't that just something? But no, just a random guy making random attacks on the Federal Reserve, just like the media. Keep spin cycle, rinse, repeat, spin cycle, rinse, repeat, spin cycle, rinse, repeat. It makes no logical sense what they are telling us. The mainstream media's narrative makes zero sense. And the president is attacking the Fed, just like we, us, Matrix, all of us guys out here, all the Q people have been saying. Just like Q said, we have the gold. Gold destroys the Fed. Hammer them home. Keep it coming. Don't take off. You guys realize that he's got like 5 or 6 people now on that board. I think there's only like one person that's not his person there now. We are in control. We are creating a parallel economy. And we're going to ditch this one. And looks like we're running up the credit card a little bit before we decide to not pay the bill. Which I have no issue with. Because they've been making interest off us for years. Hundreds of years, really. The White House Ukraine expert says he tried to edit the White House log of President Trump's Ukraine call to include details that were omitted. Okay, I'm not going to yell. Tried to edit. Okay, I couldn't help it. Tried to edit the transcript. Are you kidding? They're printing this. Are they not? Do they have no shame? They're not afraid of anything? What? You feel good about that impeachment proceeding in the basement of the Capitol? Mr. Schiff is running right along. Here was another one. I was talking about this on the show the other day. You can't make it up. Associated Press reporters went to the DOJ with evidence of Paul Manafort and started parsing out different crimes that they thought that he could be charged with to the whole clan over there in the previous administration. The reporters. And there's also speculation right now that Carter Page is not really wanting this FISA information to come out, because it's going to prove that Carter Page was an intentional plant. And we may prove that this one right here was one too. Plants need water. Remember that? Remember the Q post? Plants need water in reference to Manafort? I think you do. Not that many. Q post. 1508. 61518. Plants need water. Five. Little 5-minute video here. We're going to sit through.
Aloha, this is Santa Surfing. Welcome to Beach Broadcast. Today is Wednesday, October 30th, 2019. This is my first of 2 broadcasts that I'll be doing today. The Gateway Pundit posted this article. It says, Grassley seeking identity of Hillary Clinton State Department staffers who deliberately transmitted classified information via private email. We all remember when John gave his interview, his most recent interview, that he did talk about the Gmail drafts. So the title is Gmail Drafts, Not So Secret. Somebody did hit the send button. Yowzy. Grassley seeks identity of staffers who deliberately transferred classified information. That's the Gateway Pundit article. Senator Grassley, please just make one contact at John Here to Help. He has all their names. Or please reach out to Devin Nunes to get in touch with John directly. Now, John Here to Help, again, for those of you that are not familiar with John, he is a government insider, fully vetted by Devin Nunes and Admiral Rogers. He has worked with the swamp rats and has shared a plethora of information about the corruption of the prior administration's FBI and DOJ. He worked with the late Congressman Elijah Cummings as well. Now, in this interview, which is his 3rd interview, you can click on that. It takes you directly to the video. John Here to Help shared some information about many topics, but one that is bigger than the missing texts or Hillary emails. The missing Hillary emails are the Gmail and Yahoo draft emails. Now, this interview is a long interview, so at the 92.36 minute mark, John shares about the Gmail drafts and knows that he can help Senator Grassley get those names. If you click on here, it's just the Gmail draft portion of John's interview. Now, in short, John knows all the staffers that submitted the classified information. Here's a DM that I received from John. These are the most damaging plants, and the best part is they can't erase them. They can't get rid of them, but they don't have them in their office. They don't have them handy. They cannot get to them. This is what they didn't want to come out because they have no access to it and it cannot destroy the evidence. This is why they punished me so severely. This is why they were threatening Molly, which is John's best friend, and killed her, because this unravels their entire plans. This shows their criminal activity, their bribes, the money they were making from child trafficking, their plans to take out President Trump, their dirty dealings with other countries. It's all right in there. It's all in the Gmail drafts. Other messages that I received from John that is disturbing. because of the extent of the corruption the DOJ, FBI, Congress would go through to take down a candidate running for president. This is his quote. In those email drafts, especially around 2015, 2016's, are the plans to take out Trump. Violent plans, assassinations. There are discussions of various groups who could do it. There are discussions about FBI false flags. I remember one discussion in particular. One of the smaller plans was, but it stuck with me. They were going to get a bunch of 50 BMG caliber rifles and fire at a distance to take you out, President Trump. And this has a twofold effect. One, that will get rid of Trump, and they could then outlaw the rifles that they have been trying to do for so long. The FBI orchestrated that one. This one, this was when he was still a candidate and was gaining a lot of popularity. This is horrible. Now, the second quote he has is, like I said, on his Q&A, which is this Q&A interview right over here. If you click here, is how they communicated privately. They did this because they had given access to all the government computers to whoever would pay for it, and they didn't want those people to have access to the private communications. This was the only thing to them. They and this is all the dirt we've been fighting over texts and emails and pages for 3 years now, and it's crap. That's why it doesn't go anywhere. This is bad stuff. This puts them in prison. Guys, or excuse me, I'm sorry, Patriots, but please understand, this Gmail draft story is a huge story. It's definitely not going to hit the mainstream media. The journalists there will not report this because this is where all their dirt is. John's Army needs to get this information out to Senator Grassley. So I'm going to ask John's Army and Patriots, please do me a favor. Please copy the link to this article and send it to his office. You can click this right here, and it takes you to Senator Grassley's message page. You can just click the article, say, contact John here to help, or Devin Nunes. To reach Senator Grassley, here's his phone number. Here's the DC phone number. Now, John here to help needs whistleblower status. I cannot stress this enough. He needs that status. He still needs to get Secret Service protection. He does have a handler that is a Secret Service employee. However, that handler has refused to pass on the message to President Trump about getting protection. And John desperately needs his medicine due to the black flags flagging his prescription. They're holding him back. He cannot get medicine. Remember, these black hats, they tortured him. These swamp rats tortured him. He had to get medicine to recover. Now they've taken away his medicine now. So please continue to pray for John here to help. He has provided vital information on this is just a few items. The whereabouts of the ISIS leader that was killed by our military this weekend. The whereabouts of Hamza bin Laden, Osama bin Laden's son, that was killed by our military, the dirty secrets of the prior administration's FBI DOJ scandals to stack the court using chemical weapons, false flags concocted by the FBI and DOJ, plans to destroy nuclear plants in the USA, that was again another FBI plan, the details of Seth Rich and the missing thumb drive, which contains a plethora of information in that thumb drive, the torture he and his wife got from the swamp rats because they wanted John to remain silent, the Italian job scandal to take down President Trump, which is under investigation now. John deserves whistleblower status and protection immediately. So I'll go ahead and put that video link right over here. Thank you so much. God bless you. Please share this as much as you can.
The mods will share that link with you out there, everyone. Gmail drafts? Who knew? Anons knew. That's who knew. This is going to be phenomenal, everyone. You get to go to jail. 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 You all get to go to jail. All of you who did not peacefully walk away. You decided to stay and fight, did you? You thought you were going to beat the American people, did you? You really thought that we were going to stop and that narrative's just going to continue. President's not going to really be able to stop us. How many of you still hide in the GOP? We know you're there. We're not forgetting. All of you. We do not forget. And we do not surrender. Therefore, you, deep state, have found yourself in a pickle. How ironic. Wouldn't you think? Speaking of pickle places.
Do I not have a right to have the camera?
I'm not giving you permission to check my face, so...
Okay, are you a public servant or?
United Nations Security Officer.
Okay.
Okay.
This is my city, and so I have a right to film.
This is United Nations compound?
On a United Nations compound?
Yes.
This is a compound?
Yeah. Since Sunday evening, we took over this compound. This is international territory. When you step outside, it's U.S. Here is international territory. This is UN compound.
What?
The United Nations claims to be the champion
no.
of their human rights. Here, they are boasting about how they love the freedom of the press. But notice that in the UN Declaration of Human Rights, they claim the power to deny you any of your rights, at their discretion, if it doesn't fit their agenda. There were thousands of cameras filming the United Nations that day. Activists, journalists, and citizens. But as soon as their security saw that one activist was speaking against the UN's agenda, she was targeted, just like the UN's Declaration on Human Rights says that they have a loophole for. Let's recap what you just saw. The UN set up a compound in the middle of Salt Lake City. The UN says they took over the building. The UN stated that the taxpayer-funded Salt Lake Palace was now international territory where U.S. rights don't apply. The UN stated that the United States was outside the doors of the Salt Palace, and the UN, who at best should have been a guest of Salt Lake, instead acted like an invader and denied a U.S. citizen their First Amendment rights. Should the United Nations be allowed to simply claim territory in the middle of the United States and deny any U.S. citizen any of their inalienable rights? The evidence is clear that the United Nations' claims of defending human rights is a complete farce. They have demonstrated their intent to rule, along with their complete lack of respect for our own citizens, for all to see, right here on our own soil. That's not all. But this has all been brought to you by your fellow elected leaders and...
Yeah? All good? Nothing wrong with that, right? Keep it up. Just, how about you bring the trucks? Let's just set up a compound in the mall. Target. Oh, it's Target. No, it's compound. It's UN compound. You can't go there. What are you people talking about? The cray-cray is getting excessive. Google is censoring and shadow banning and blacklisting alternative health news. If you didn't catch our interview with Matrix and Zach and I, Zach Voorhees, wow, how compelling was that? And he actually went into a very detailed description with us about how Google is a pharmaceutical company and they don't like competition, much like deep state heroin dealers. Huh. They don't like competition. It's just this weird thing, you know, like those darn drug runners that have to compete with the CIA. Thank God for the deep state, or there'd be no drugs. Thank God for the deep state, or there'd be no human trafficking. Thank God for the deep state, or there'd be no children. Thank God for the deep state, or there would be no malfunctioning health. Thank God for the deep state, and there would be no food pyramid. Thank God for the deep state, and there would be no layer of pharmaceuticals that has everybody out there walking around like zombies and throwing all these different words out there, like you got the ADHD and the ADD and your kid's messed up and oh no, it's all gobbledygook. Alcohol is not a disease. It is a drink, and you are weak and you can't prevent yourself from having it. Not the same as having a debilitating disease. They have conflated every line. They are telling you right here that vitamins are no good. They're going to tell you that anything that you take as a supplemental is no good. They're going to tell you that B12 is no good. They're going to tell you that you can't stop your cancer from growing. They're going to tell you that cancer is this, when all reality it is that. A simple overgrowth of cells in your body confused because of what's been injected in it before. You guys realize how many injections the children are getting today? If your grandparents out there, your grandkids are getting like 50 or 60 shots before they're in school now. It's a miracle that they can even spell Common Core. So Google is your pharmaceutical company. And Amazon is your intelligence agency. And the UN has jurisdiction on American soil. More deep state lies. It's raining plastic microscopic fibers falling from the sky in the Rocky Mountains. No, it is not raining plastic microscopic fibers. It is raining Morgellons. Okay? This is not normal stuff. This is laboratory created organisms that are free flowing, can connect with each other, are infesting our society, are being sprayed into the clouds and falling on us. It's been going on since the mid-90s. They can activate these things. If you notice, that looks like an antenna. This is not plastic. Guardian. Where's my article? I got an article here somewhere that shows what this stuff is. Where is it? Man, we'll put it in the wrong spot. This is Morgellons. I'll see it here in a minute. Maybe I moved it. But the lie is unbelievable. The lie is so convoluted. It's not raining plastic. You're being sprayed with weaponized organisms. And I have seen countless people pull these things out of their bodies, especially out here on the West Coast. Unbelievable to see these things. They're moving. They have life. I'm sure some of you out there have dealt with this already or have family members or someone who has. So your deep state is telling you that it's raining plastic, and I promise you it's not raining plastic. The deep state, thank God for them. Thank God for the deep state. We humiliated the dead this week, says the mainstream media. Praising Baghdadi. He was a real leader, a movement we've never seen before. Breaking their chicken necks to stand up for al-Baghdadi. They had so much invested in this whole Syrian mercenary army out there, Mr. No Name. Interestingly enough, the dog that got him, chased him in that tunnel, hasn't had a name released, isn't it? Lots of interesting references to the dog, iPod. If you haven't checked out iPod's new videos, please get over there and support him. The Washington Post printed a headline this week that said, an austere religious scholar. They had to pull the headline. If it is not blatantly obvious that this group of ne'er-do-wells embedded in our government bureaucracy aren't fighting tooth and nail every single thing that is good and right, you are still asleep. And we have a lot of Americans who are still fast asleep out there, who have no idea which way is coming and which way is going, don't really know what to say or make or even how to understand the world that they're living in. And you have people printing headlines acting as if this guy, okay, was the one that was on the cameras cutting people's throats off. He's the one hanging out with John McCain in all the pictures that we've got. You know which one? Let's see. Can I see which one? Oh, this one? This guy back here? Huh. This guy? Pain is coming. We have it all. You want to know why they don't talk about the Q drops? Because pictures like this were in the Q drops. Sorry. But there's a picture of the guy we chased in the tunnel with the dog who blew up 3 of his children with him right there with no name, with a Syrian flag lapel pin. And what do we know? How many times have we seen that word? Traitor. No mercy. No bargaining. A traitor's justice. Pain. Negotiating for return. Traitor. Mission to harm NSA. These people are traitors. That word has been scrubbed from your vocabulary for a reason, so that you will not use it and you will not inflict pain. They consider your pain of justice violence. What they are doing is the violence. What we're doing is trying to step up and have a remedy for their violence. We're not really having a hard time making sense out of it. It's easy to make sense out of. It's not that confusing whenever you know what's going on. Traitors. One and all of them. Last thing I wanted to throw at you tonight. Officials describe cult rituals in child abuse case. February 7th, 1987. Well, looky here. Looky here. Story of the CIA's finders. Wouldn't you know? A little bit of D-class. I would like for Anons to take this and read it. Mods will drop this for you out there. What did Robert Mueller have to do with this? You think? Notice that this article is from July of 2005. The Finders Cult. Wow. Look at that. Now we have a real nice little glimpse in what it was that the FBI thought wasn't worth prosecuting as in relation to the deep state child trafficking that goes on planet Earth. Patriots have it all. Patriots are in control. And here we go. We're back around, by the way. This is what they were telling me whenever I was a kid. It was going to be an ice age. And then I grew up and then it's going to, like, the planet's going to melt. Now they're headed back to ice age. This idea of climate change was part of the takeover of your country going back to the creation of the Federal Reserve. This has been a plan. They've been running this rumshot all over you for decades. There is no concern. Trust me, there is no real concern for your planet by these things that Merard over us. They do not give two about you. Here it is. This is what I was looking for. Morgellons, silent pandemic. I'm dropping this link. I don't know if I gave this to my mods. Here you go, guys. Rational thought. Rational thought. All of us need a lot more of it so that we can share it with other people and then it doesn't come back on us. Okay? Donald Trump is doing something that is unprecedented. It's just the easiest way to describe it. It's literally unprecedented. There's never been or may never be anything like this man again. Cherish this time. Cherish the moments that you have watching him be funny, and cherish the moments that you have watching him fight them. Because I don't know that we'll ever see another person fight the way he does. Because he may be fighting till they're done and we don't need to fight them any longer. Which would be a blessing. But there is none of this would have been possible without all of you. None of it. Who are you? JT Wild. Who are they?
This was irregular warfare at its finest. We have an army of digital soldiers.
To the Lord up above. How can just one man be the shelter from the storm? Knowing that the real war has only just begun. The storm is getting closer. We are the digital soldiers. It's time they run for cover. We are the digital soldiers. We will bring the light to this field. Question will be redeemed. The sacrifice they make won't be in vain. The fight for freedom is all that remains. We're gonna tell the people's story and make it right again. Our storm is getting closer. We are the digital soldiers. The needless wars are over. We are the digital soldiers. We will bring the light to this field of fight. We have been blinded by the lies. We've been living to survive. They will steal and make you pay. When will we walk away? They want you dead before your time. They want you watching while you die. Just live to fight another day. It's time to walk away. The storm is getting closer.
We are the digital soldiers.
Needless wars are over. We are the digital soldiers. The storm is getting closer. We are the digital soldiers. We are the digital soldiers. We are the digital soldiers. We will bring the fight. Digital soldiers. Yes, we
JT Wild. Wow, sir. Unbelievable. You want to talk about strength and love and pain and honor? All of those things are represented quite well in that little song right there. What a number by our great Patriot friend, JT Wild. Everyone, this is an amazing time in the world. This is an amazing time on planet Earth. Please recognize your place in it. You're the key. The people are the key. The people are the reason. We have no other choice. The soul of your country is at stake. I don't care what you think. It's at stake. There's people that want to take it from you. There are those that think you do not deserve it. They believe they have a rightful ownership of your person, property, and future. That is absolutely not the case. We are a sovereign nation. The United Nations does not hold us in their grip. You're going to have to fight for it. We're going to have to keep standing up for it. We're going to have to not get tired of winning at the same time that we keep on plugging away, guys. Every single one of you, every day you come to this fight, don't you? You wake up, you come to the fight. Why? Why would you do something like that? Because you don't care? Or because you do care? Because you don't want to know? Or because you gotta know? You can't let go. Nothing will suffice other than the truth. Nothing will suffice your thirst for truth other than the truth. I want to thank everybody tonight so much for coming around. We got to kick one off a little bit late. That president was on fire tonight, and I could not resist getting in here and delivering this to you guys because you are the reason that we exist. Please feel free to post in the comments below here on YouTube. If somebody asks a question, don't hesitate to help them out. And if you can't, maybe direct them to one of us because maybe we can. Because we are here to spread the notion that there is a clear line between the truth and the lie. Truth is that you're the global elite. The lie is that they are. The truth is that the global elite stand for freedom and we stand for liberty, and we are the freest nation ever on planet Earth, and we are not going to go quietly into that good night, and we will not stop fighting for Donald J. Trump 2020. Keep America great. Thanks to all the wonderful mods out there tonight for coming around and helping us, delivering you the sauce, bringing you the links and stuff so you can red pill your friends. There is no better red pilled audience on YouTube. Thanks so much for all the support on the Matrix Groove Hour. Please, if you can, get over there and give us some support. We have a Patreon, we have PayPal. Get a t-shirt, whatever you can do. This movement is going forward and we are going to win, everyone. Please get out there, support other citizen journalists, Jordan Say, the Praying Medic, Serial Brain 2, iPod, Lisa Mae Crowley, Dustin Nemos, JT Wild, X22 Report, Anon Decoder, Blessed to Teach, Carle Bonet, Dun Dun Dun, Sorely Gree, Stormy Joe, Patriot, Paul Saran. Everyone, thank you. Thank you. Happy 2 years, Q. Much love, everyone. Good night.
See the biz I'm